What's up, everybody? It's kind of somber. Usually we're here talking about NXT 2.0, but we're kind of not. It's kind of sad, though. We got James over here. We got
Yes.
Anakin, JMNT. I'm tired. It's been a long day. As Fightful has reported, we have 10 NXT releases. 5 of them are active participants on the show. Out of all of these releases, whose name shocks you the most?
Well, do we want to run down the list of names first?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, hold on. I don't have it in front of me.
Them. For me, the biggest surprise there were 2 big surprises, and Parker Boudreaux, who competed under the name Harland, and Dexter Loomis. Among the other releases were Dakota Kai, probably the most notable name, Persia Parada. Let me get the other names here. Malcolm Bivens was the one that broke my heart the most. I love Malcolm Bivens. But I wasn't necessarily surprised, seeing as he's been on record saying he wasn't going to re-sign anyway. There were a couple of others.
One of them was a referee, I know that.
Draco Anthony's been on TV quite a bit.
Yeah, Draco.
Paige Prinzevali, Vish Kanya, Raylan Devine, and I believe there was one more.
Did you mention Draco Anthony?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mila Milani.
What's interesting to me is those 6 of them are actually active participants on the NXT show. 2 of them were in an ongoing, storyline with Indy Hartwell. I feel so bad for Indy. It's like every person that they're pointing out that she's around, they are all either gone on leave or gotten released. I feel so bad, though. It all depends on what they have planned for her. So hopefully it's something positive. The sad part is that for me personally, watching this and doing this for Body Slam, I'm slowly seeing the end of NXT because they're gutting it out. They're bringing people up, and they're also technically taking some of this talent that they have, bringing them up too early, too late, and the people that have been there that's taking care of the brand has done amazing work for this brand. Hell, look at Dakota. Dakota should have been NXT Women's Champion at least 4, 5, 6 times, and she isn't. Basically one of the stable workhorses in the women's division, and stuff. Persia, an ambassador, helping other people from overseas to come here and being a constant. It's just sad to see these people end up losing their work. But also, excuse me, also it's a positive also for them to take a look at what's next for them. Well, I think Dakota will basically be wrestling somewhere else, but I think for the short term, her Twitch is going to be her main focus. Now, Anakin, you follow all the Twitch of some of these wrestlers. Do you think that Dakota being on Twitch is going to give her some short-term security for right now, considering how good that Twitch channel is?
I would say so. I mean, we know, you can make a good amount of money on Twitch. Now, that being said, Twitch did just announce yesterday or 2 days ago that they were making changes to stuff, and which a lot of the big name of Twitch streamers are kind of going like, I don't know, because like a number of them had negotiated to get 70% of the money from subs and stuff, where instead of the 50% that's normal, and Twitch is like, well, we're going to drop everybody down now to 50. I'm not. She definitely is popular as far as wrestlers who use Twitch. Like, I think it's like Paige and Adam Cole are easily like the 2 biggest by far. I'm not sure where. I'm not
Zelina
sure.
Vega had a good following.
Yeah, she did. She did. I think she got a lot more attention there when Malachi Black got released, and then he started going on there, talking stuff. But Johnny Gargano is a popular one, and I know Tyler Breeze and
Fandango.
yeah. Well, I was thinking more Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears. Like they've been doing stuff they've been doing stuff together. Cesaro has one. I'm not sure like as far as like in the top 10. I imagine Dakota would probably be somewhere in the top 10. I don't know exactly where, but yeah, I could easily seeing her be like, yeah, let's go ahead and do and work on this, and now she could probably do stuff with Jessamine Duke again because
That's good plugs.
they were doing stuff over on Up Down Down as part of BRE Start, and then with what's been going on at Up Down Down, and then people from there leaving, Mia Yim and Jessamine and stuff. Now Dakota, I don't really know, we don't really know what's going on there, but I imagine she could do stuff with those people again, and definitely. But the thing is if she, assuming she wants to continue wrestling, she's not gonna have a problem getting work. She's not gonna have a problem getting work. She could work on the indies and make a good amount of money. She could sign with another promotion. I don't know about AEW proper because they've got a problem of not being able to really like focus on a lot of women, but Ring of Honor with that relaunch or going to Impact. I mean, there's a lot of options for her for sure.
So for me, and I want to kind of hit on a couple of things here with Dakota Kai specifically. Twitch's announcement was that they're cutting a lot of pay for streamers. It might be a good interim income and the 30-day no compete, but with Twitch trying to compete now with capitalism in general, their model is about to change in a lot of ways the bigger they grow. For Dakota Kai, a lot of the roster, Patrick kind of hit on this. They've gutted NXT. I feel like when NXT went head to head with Dynamite, its booking philosophy changed, its company philosophy in general changed, and we've kind of forgotten that NXT for years constantly was gutted and just rejuvenated talent. They've so far with Level Up, they've put a focus on guys like Edris Nafe, Malik Blade, guys that are performance center recruits that wouldn't necessarily be on TV before. That are now getting a chance on the big show. Of course, before when the people like that were Riddick Moss, Angelo Dawkins before Montez came in, they didn't do as much with those guys. But with them trying to steer away from the independent super indie feel that Triple H gave it the last few years, of course, the philosophy is going to change again. I don't think it's a death sentence for NXT, but it does suck for a lot of the people that were cut today, who are really talented people. Fightful Select reported that Dakota Kai had already informed them that she wasn't going to re-sign her contract, so the writing was kind of on the wall there. It just wasn't reported previously, as far as I know anyway. But Anakin mentioned Ring of Honor. I think that's a great fit. The moment I saw that she was cut, that's where my mind went to. Yesterday, around the same time, I went live with the Code of Honor podcast hosts, plugged at one of Body Sam's best shows. Kyle and Sparks and Kylie Fuller do wonderful work. And we were joined by Haley Moore, Haley Miller. Sorry, I messed up her name. Another fantastic contributor here at Body Slam. And we drafted our ideal Ring of Honor rosters. And I would have loved to have Dakota Kai on there yesterday. Go check that out because she's terrific. She would be a perfect face for a new brand like Ring of Honor that historically Ring of Honor has not done a good job establishing a women's roster. They had women here or there they had Sarah Amato in the 2000s, Sumi Sakai. And then a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, they tried to reinvigorate it with Kelly Klein for a little bit. And then right before the hiatus, they put a lot of stock into Roxy, who just joined NXT. But historically, they've never had a strong women's division. I think Dakota Kai would be a great face and great fit to kind of change the tide in that regard. So I think Anakin's shout on Ring of Honor was a really good shout. Malcolm Bivens. Did y'all
Well,
see
I was going to touch on what you said about Dakota going places. I think a perfect fit for her and Dexter would be in Japan. Dakota at Stardust and maybe New Japan for Dexter to get him out of the United States for a while. A lot of people have said, and I don't believe in this, that it could be an age thing with Dexter, but it's interesting to see how they're shifting. Now, get your point where you're saying that they replenish it, they got it, replenish it, but I think this last couple of cuts that they've done, releases and stuff, is just basically bare boning NXT again and trying to restart it. The moves they made with Ciampa and changed his name up there looked like they were going to bring Breaker up and stuff. It's just insane.
They took Pac's first name when he went up. Like historically, they took Adrian out of Adrian Neville. They took the Alexander out of Rusev. That's not anything new for them, at least from their previous track record. You mentioned Sam Shaw, Dexter Lumis in New Japan. I think Impact and a return to Impact would be the perfect spot for Sam Shaw. I think he's a little too. He reminds me of somebody who would have thrived in the territory days, 80s WWF. I don't think that's a good fit for New Japan. Who I think would be a really good fit for New Japan is Harland. I think make him a young lion and learning in that dojo, probably the LA dojo, and make him one of the main players on New Japan Strong for a little bit would do wonders for both his development and their U.S. expansion. I think that's a perfect fit for New Japan, and that's where I would like to see Harlan personally. I don't know if I like that fit for Dexter Lumis, though.
I think it would be a great fit. It'd be a great learning experience for him, especially where he wasn't really used as much. He was used more in MLW, I believe, and in WA, but I think it would be a perfect fit for him to go to that new style, that strong style, where he could still be that silent type that he has, but it would be an interesting fit also in certain promotions. Like you said,
it's
Malcolm Bivens.
because I was actually thinking he could go back to MLW. That might be perhaps a better fit for him, because I don't know if I necessarily would agree that him going to New Japan or Impact would be the best fit for him. I was thinking, you do MLW, maybe ROH, but even that one, I'm just like, because the problem with ROH is they're probably going to have a good amount of talent that are AEW contracted talent, who is like, okay, well, we don't really have room for you on AEW TV right now, so let's send you over to Ring of Honor. Sort of like, having Ziggler be on NXT and Natalia has been on NXT right now. We don't have anything for you on the main shows, but we'll send you here and you can help out here and stuff. And
I don't get that vibe from Ring of Honor at all. I get the vibe that the people who are going to go to Ring of Honor from AEW are going to be more so people like Abaddon, who are more AEW dark staples because they still need to develop a little bit, as opposed to main players. But I don't want to go on a tangent with Ring of Honor and AEW, because that's not what this.
That's your wheelhouse, there, man.
Is. But I feel like Sam Shaw's just too slow. I don't think he moves well enough to excel in Japan. I never really got a good, strong style vibe from him. I think MLW is a good shout, especially with their open door policy. You don't have to commit to him if a return doesn't necessarily go as planned. And the open door policy opens up a lot of opportunity and options for MLW in general. But Malcolm Bivens was the one that hurt me the most because I think he's the most entertaining dude in wrestling in the most natural, organic way possible. And I know he wasn't going to re-sign until they pitched Diamond Mine because they wouldn't put him on TV. But do you remember a couple years ago when right after she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship to Alexa Bliss, where they kept Becky Lynch off TV for like 6 months, but she was doing the WWE.com digital interviews every week and getting big hits on them?
Well, wasn't she filming the Marine at that time? Wasn't she doing
That's
the
not
Marine?
why she wasn't on TV. But Malcolm Bivens was the next guy who kind of used that digital platform to make people realize, oh, this guy is that good with give him an inch, he'll take a mile. And that got him on TV, and he did not disappoint his entire time on TV.
I think Bivens is basically one of the biggest ones that, for a performance standpoint, not the wrestling aspect of it, that is the biggest loss in NXT. I think he was the one person that no matter who they put him in would drag the narrative. Now, I keep saying this all the time on the NXT post show. It's absolutely true. Their problem right now with NXT is the casual fan. The hardcore fan like us who watches it and stuff like that will watch it regardless of what it is because we love the actual brand that it was. My problem is that if the casual fan is the issue, why are you taking some of these names? Because a lot of people's friends say, I'd be like, Anakin, do you know who Persia Pirano is? And if you said no, I'd show you videos and stuff like that, and it gets you interested in the brand. Now, if I show you somebody like Braun Breaker, and before he was on the main roster to get the title back, the NXT title against Ziggler, you'd be like, who's that? And you'd have to redo the same thing. They had instant made stars. They had a ground base. And the only person left, I believe, from the black and gold era is Roderick. And I'm surprised in that he wasn't one of the names on there. So it's very, very terrifying. And plus, two out of the three names that they announced that were on the show, Draco had a lot of high upswing. It looked like they were really high on him, and then something just happened, and then the next thing you know, Persia was the other one that I thought that literally had a shot at the women's title against Mandy Rose at some point in the near future, just because she makes a good babyface once they move her away from Dexter, Indy, and Duke. There's a lie. I think the biggest mistake out of all these, besides Dakota and Bivens, performance standpoint for a young talent, is Persia. I think Persia will end up either in Star or on Impact. I don't think AEW will be in the cards just yet, but I seriously believe that she will end up in one of those places and thrive. And I bet you, and I will guarantee, she will go the McIntyre route, and literally, because she's young enough, will be back in WWE someday and literally will be one of their top stars.
If AEW grabs anybody from this crop, I want it to be Malcolm.
Yeah.
And
no, that's already a given in my head.
You touched on Malcolm being the best performance-wise. I sound like a broken record. Managing in professional wrestling is a lost art, and he could have added so much if you moved him up. Imagine how much Ronda could have improved with him hiding behind her when he's not building her up.
The other thing is, and I'll give Bivens that, he is a combination of two people. He is this generation's Jimmy Hart / Bobby the Brain Heenan. And
I don't get a Bobby Heenan vibe. I get more of a Jimmy Hart's a good shout.
Bobby Heenan, because
Bobby Heenan vibe than a Bobby Heenan vibe.
Bobby Heenan, because Bobby Heenan back then was more of a mental tactician when he was a manager. He would put these people in certain places. I literally think Bivens does that. I think he puts whoever he has in front of him into certain places to succeed besides himself. But he has that Jimmy Hart smarts and mouth and presence in him where you don't focus around, like when he was standing in front of the Creed brothers and stuff, you notice on your peripheral the Creed brothers, but he was front and center. You were focused on Bivens, and he still was doing his job for making you look around and saying, oh, so he likes these guys. I'm invested in this. And Bivens does that. And Heenan did that. Hart did that. All the really good ones did that. And they take the focus off them and put it on the talent around them.
Fuji did that. Johnny Violent did that. There were a number of good crop of managers back in the day that did that. For me, the perfect fit right now is, no disrespect intended to Mark Sterling, I need Malcolm Bivens as the mouthpiece.
I've seen that on Twitter. Somebody's like, I'm just saying AEW, and yeah, putting him with Jade, that would be, that I think and that would be, I think, a perfect fit, and and not because of them both being black, just because I think that would be such a natural pairing, because her promo skills, which are improving, they continuously get better, but having Stokely Hathaway as of the mouthpiece, like as soon as I saw that on Twitter, I was like, yep, that's it, that makes sense.
Jade Cargill has a fantastic presence. She is sensational. The moment she's just standing there on screen and you're looking at her. My issue with her act is I don't think Mark Sterling compliments her well. I think it feels forced for me. And I think you give her somebody more obnoxious who's great with the visuals, like a Stokely Hathaway, who's also really small in comparison. So you get the visual of Jade being larger than life, just by him looking up at her. I think it's a perfect fit. I think he has the personality to bring that act to another dimension that, again, no disrespect intended to Mark Sterling, because he's great at what he does, that Mark Sterling cannot bring to that act.
I mean, you could put, Stokely Hathaway with many other people. You could put him with Ronda. You could put him with Brock. You could put him with all these amazing talents. But he still is the main focus when he speaks, but he puts the other person he's with, over, and that's the main focus on this. I think he would be perfect in AEW, but and this is going to be a really, really, a makeshift thing, and this is in my own head, if Hook decided to go away from Team Taz, if that ever scenario did happen, Stokely Hathaway would be the perfect fit.
I don't know, because the whole thing about Hook is he's over without, him saying something to Danhausen that got a big reaction. He's gotten himself over just by his presence and not really speaking, and then having Taz, has talk about him, and about what he's doing from a technical aspect in the ring. If Hook were to ever break away from his dad, I don't know if I would necessarily want to put him with another manager, but somebody else I think might be a good fit for Stokely Hathaway in AEW is, honestly, I have all the utmost respect for her, for everything she's gone through and for what she's done, especially after the tragedy of losing Eddie. But I do not need to see Vicky Guerrero on my TV screen anymore.
Yeah, Nyla's a good fit.
I
don't think Hook needs a mouthpiece ever. We don't know if he can really talk yet, so that's something that he's going to have to learn down the line.
Mm-hmm.
But with Hook, for somebody like that, there are certain characters in wrestling where less is more when it comes to promos. Taz was kind of one of those characters too, and the way he carries himself, the way they've booked him, I don't necessarily need anybody with him, and I don't know how big of a guy Hook is, but he's not that big in comparison to a Stokely Hathaway. I don't want to kill the aura by kind of like SmackDown in 2000 when they put Taz against Triple H, or 99 that one time.
Yeah. Well,
It kind
I'm
of
gonna
killed
mention.
the Taz vibe because you realize Taz isn't that big of a dude. With the way they've worked Hook so far, they've not fallen into that trap. I think put unnecessarily pairing him with Malcolm Bivens, Stokely Hathaway would kind of fall into that trap.
Well, gonna introduce this guy down here. Was a co-star for NXT show here on BodySlam.net. The one, the only, the head of the table, the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. Drew Nichols, what's up, bud?
NXT 2.0. What a great show, everybody, huh?
It's sensational, and I hope you can sense the facetiousness in my voice.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, first and foremost, you sound a lot better than you have been recently, so I'm glad for that.
Thank you.
What is your opinions about all these releases?
So I was not like on Twitter at all when I saw that these were happening. I just happened to like jump in, maybe like
Same thing on when I was doing. You were watching Rob and Maggie like I was.
I actually wasn't watching Rob and Maggie.
No.
I was off of the internet pretty much at that point. And then
I'm telling Maggie.
And then jumped on to Twitter, and then all of a sudden I see a bunch of names, and it's really, you feel like it's sort of become the norm now. It has pretty much become the norm that there are releases that are going to happen. But I don't think a lot of people talk about. I sound okay, right? By the way.
Yeah, you do. Wow,
Okay,
the tags finally caught back up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, well, now I know who you are. Nice to meet you, Jayma.
I'm the editor at Body Slam.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well,
You're good,
better
man.
late than never.
No worries.
So, yeah, so there's two different types of releases, and people don't really like classify this as much. There's really there's the releases of people that are like, okay, you're on TV maybe once or twice. You're not really much is being done with you. So you just kind of move on, and maybe you're in the performance center or whatever, and then they cut you. It's like, oh, well, as an outsider, as a person who reports it, or somebody who follows it, or as a fan, it's like, oh, that person, yeah, it's unfortunate. That person was not really on TV. They weren't really involved in anything. So, yeah, all right. Understandable. They get cut. But then there's this other category of people who get released. The mind-boggling category. The ones that's like, okay, we've invested, we meaning WWE, and we meaning us as fans, have invested time, energy, fandom into, that are on TV, in storylines, and those people are getting cut too, and that makes absolutely no sense at all. What the hell is Dexter Lumis getting cut for? Dexter Lumis, who was just in a tag team title match 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
for no reason, I literally didn't even deserve to be in that match, and I talked about that with you.
With me, yeah.
Sorry, I talked about that with you that week against a team that had no right to be the tag teams right now, the tag team champions, because they've done not only have Pretty Deadly done
Pretty Deadly is
nothing.
dope.
Say that again.
Pretty Deadly is dope. I think.
Oh,
I don't
I
know if
mean,
you've watched NXT UK.
I have not. No,
Their run on NXT UK, both character work and in ring, is fantastic. I
I've
highly
been told.
recommend it. But I do feel they kind of got hotshot because of, obviously you weren't planning for Wesley's release. Was Wesley, right?
Nash Carter.
Yeah.
You weren't planning for one.
Wesley's.
No, Nash Carter was the one that was released.
Okay, you weren't
Yeah.
planning for the Kimberly stuff to happen with Nash Carter. Obviously, you can never plan for that. So
Right.
I think they were thrown for a loop and had to figure something out last second. And I think Pretty Dudley was the best fit because they are the most established multi-dimensional character in the division right now. He can easily get heat, can easily put on a good match with anybody as you establish these other teams. And now they're full blown into the NXT tag title picture, which is what you wanted anyway.
But also,
I mean,
you're
yeah.
forgetting that the Viking experience is now in there going against the Creeds to make them even more over. And on top of that, there's another thing is that you have El Gato del Fantasma still in there that have been there since the black and gold side of everything. You still have, you have the Grizzly Young Veterans still in that division. There's so much great talent that they're building at probably one of close to where AEW is the deepest tag team division possibly in wrestling right now.
It's by far
other
the
than
deepest tag division in wrestling.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a second? Did you just say that the Viking experience are in NXT?
yes,
War Raiders, bro. That's
War Raiders, or like Viking
Yeah.
Raiders, whatever the hell the name is. That just happened on Tuesday?
that's what I
Oh.
wanted to talk to you about, but you weren't feeling it.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's interesting.
they're going against Spring Break in against the Creed brothers, and that's going to probably be the match of the night for me because it's going to be so freaking extremely physical that night.
The Creed
Eight.
brothers, let's talk about them for a second, because I was very worried that they were going to be released when these releases were going on, simply because they've never put the tag titles on them. And while Pretty Deadly is probably fine, and I'll eventually maybe get over my not much of a fandom of them right now, I will try, at least. I'll try when I feel like watching. I don't know when that's going to be again, however. But the Creed brothers are the ones that should be the tag team champions right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
1,000%.
Here's an interesting point. I want to go back to something because I just checked the comments. We can circle right back to this. That's a good fit.
Interesting.
By the way, on these overlays, I wish when that happens, the whole overlay shrinks with it too. But I mean, there's so many things, and all these great people have so much they can do. But I still mean it. I think Persia is going to be the one that is their Diana Perazzo type fit for certain things, just because of the upswing on it.
That's another crazy one. It's like, you have invested so much time into the couples that want to make out with each other.
And as far as I know, it's done decent ratings.
I don't know about rating stuff. I mean, NXT's ratings are the shit.
Well, for NXT standards, it's done decent ratings.
Yeah, but like Persia and Duke and Indy and Dexter have been a thing for like 2 months now or something. Like a whole
They were leading up to a feud between both of them, and it was
storyline has been built around this whole thing, and then you just axe one of each couple.
And I feel
So now their partners are gonna hook up together.
I feel bad for
Maybe.
the writers because they're the ones who Harlan's the other person with Harlan is in a title match too, isn't he?
Yeah, Joe Gacy, and
So,
I kind of
that's at
I kind of
least
figured.
that's at least two major main event storylines that NXT's been telling that just randomly got cut today. And the writers are going to have to be the ones with the unenviable task to explain this to the viewer at home who don't pay attention to Fightful.
And the other thing is Malcolm Bivens is still part of the Diamond Mine and still had a segment on it last week. I knew Harlan Parker Bordero was something going up with him because the show that me and Drew did 2 weeks ago, I noticed that he was part of everything, but then all of a sudden last week they went with the Druid kind of aspect, kind of nostalgia,
Yeah.
and then this week they didn't even feature him all. So something was going towards that. Draco, Anthony, I thought that they looked at him with a bigger upswing in NXT, and it's just something in between didn't happen.
Listen, that 2 weeks ago was Zion Quinn versus Draco Anthony.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not gonna go, too crazy about it, but I liked both of those men. Okay? Put it that way, and we're gonna move on. The point is that it literally is just like out of all of the cuts that there have been, if anybody remembers anyone besides Aleister Black's, that was like one of the more puzzling ones on the main roster because he was literally in a few. Well, no.
Yeah, debuted the character that week.
Well, it's true.
Yeah,
I'm just saying Bray in terms of like Bray sold merch like crazy.
That's
the
true.
one that got me with Aleister Black, and I was kind of touching on this with the writers, these releases just seem so disconnected from everything else going on. Because if you remember when Aleister Black got cut, they released a T-shirt for him the next day. Like the marketing people didn't.
I did not know that.
The marketing people didn't know he was getting cut, so they were still making and producing new merchandise for the guy as he got cut. So it's so obvious that a lot of these cuts between the writers who are debuting new characters, new stories right before these cuts, as well as marketing team, other divisions in the company, are not being told ahead of time who's getting cut, and it doesn't allow them to adequately prepare for these cuts. And that seems like an unneeded stress on these people's jobs.
Well, that's something. That's something that that's like across the board. I mean, didn't they finally release merch of Nikki Ash as a champion like the week that she ended up dropping the Raw Women's Championship? Like it's such such a thing across the board. But yeah, like talking about Aleister Black, like like he attacked Big E on SmackDown, costing him the Intercontinental Championship. And we're all like, okay, so there's gonna be a program there, okay, whatever. And then next week, oh, he's gone, he's cut. And
I was gonna tap on this too, is that the interesting about all these cuts and all for the last couple of years, there's been a lot of them that we've been like scratching our heads over the time too.
Well, here's one that nobody's really talking about her, and it's understandable, but Raylan Divine. She signed last year. She was at the Las Vegas tryouts on SummerSlam weekend last year. She signed with the company. Never made her an in-ring debut. Never got on TV, not even on Level Up or 205 Live or anything. And she's cut. And so it's like, so she didn't. So it's not like she'd been on TV, they'd been trying, and it wasn't working, and they just cut it. She never even made it to TV. and they
Well,
cut her.
that brings up another counterpoint because Fightful Select reported that they weren't happy with Parker Bordeaux's development. He wasn't
Right.
coming along as fast in ring as they were anticipating. With I don't know Divine's background. I don't know if she was a wrestler previously or if she was part of this new regime's. Let's hire athletes and mold them into wrestlers.
Yeah, she
But
played college basketball for University of Central Florida and Penn State. Also, I didn't know this. She's the sister of Mace.
so perhaps
Oh my gosh.
they weren't. She wasn't developing as well as they'd hoped, and they just had decided to cut their losses. But another, Drew, you asked, other than Malachi Black, Aleister Black, which started a new story before getting cut. There's quite a few, but the one that came to my mind was Isaiah Scott, the Ashante Adonis, and that whole group had just debuted on SmackDown and then are immediately cut.
Hit row. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
Yeah.
And
Well, figured.
Stokely Hathaway is going to be
Make
money anywhere. I'm sure he's already got the phone blowing up for him as soon as his release was mentioned.
Yeah.
He is just very, very special, and I very, very briefly ran into him one night after the very first Progress NYC show back in 2017. I think he was there. They were doing some other show before that, so he was hanging out for that show because he wasn't on the show. But it was just me and him standing on a corner in Queens, New York, and I just looked at him and nodded, and he looked at me and nodded, and we just walked off, and that was it.
Drew, you need to tell that story to DGMC because he is a big Stokely Hathaway mark. He would be so jealous of you if he knew you had a chance to
it was literally like midnight to 12:30 in the morning, and I am not gonna bother the guy because it is late,
Sure.
and he's got shit to do. I am not somebody that's gonna go up to any wrestler at any time of the day and start to hound them like creepy people do. And
I have a couple stories like that. We don't really have time, and it's not about anybody.
Yeah. Well,
but I
know
he's my favorite, and I think he will, put him. I've seen people say put him with Jade. I think that would be amazing. Lee Johnson would be cool. Lee Moriarty would be great.
See, what I was saying, Drew, before you came on, is as much as I, respect everything that she's done, everything that she's gone through, and good for her. I don't need to see Vicky Guerrero on my TV anymore. So have Nyla drop her and give her Stokely Hathaway.
Oh, that would be actually that. Yeah, I would like that. Yeah.
All right, so why don't we wrap it up? Stop talking about sad stuff, and we can move on for the rest of it because we have SmackDown in about 15 minutes.
Fuck that.
Nope.
Be sure to pay attention to Body Sam's Twitter for both SmackDown and Rampage because Corey does a terrific job. So I'd like to plug all my boys. Terrific job with the social media coverage.
So we'll go around in a circle. My buddy here, who has the #1 contender shot at the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls title. Drew, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me at Big Money Drew on Twitter, and you'll find me there questioning my fandom of wrestling these days.
I got to get you both and Shane on the same screen for that prediction show. I have to plan that out.
Best. You can also see Body Sam's post show for SmackDown at 11, which features Shane.
Yeah, well, I need to get both of these on for that title match because they're doing a prediction warfare for that title belt. Anakin, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on the Twitter at AnakinJMT. I'm gonna be at the Detroit AEW show at the end of June. Very excited. They're finally coming to Michigan. So if you go into that show and you see me, go ahead and say hi, give me a wave. I'll be like, hey, back. And, should be a good time.
Lucky Duck gets his Brady jersey in the next week or two.
Yeah, about a year and a half too late. Less than a period of time, I will add. Less than a period of time for me to finally send Sean his shirt.
All right, Jameis, tell them where they can find you, my friend.
So, first off, as a regular at AEW shows, they're the best. You're gonna have a wonderful time. Enjoy that, my man.
I'm looking forward to it. I went to a Raw in 2017 and had a good time, but I expect this to be a much better show. I'm taking my kid along. It'll be his first AEW show. I'm hoping this will be the thing that finally is like, oh, wrestling is cool, so that it's not just this dorky dad who watches it and talks about it.
So, it's terrific. You can find me. It's on the screen at the Jameis on Twitter, and you can find all four of our Twitters as well as Body Sam's Twitter on the ticker at the bottom of the screen right now. I'm an editor at Body Sam. I do a lot of podcasts. I produce a lot of podcasts as well. We have a lot of really good podcasts on our channel, so be sure to subscribe to Body Sam on YouTube. Tea and Tights has a terrific podcast. Code of Honor podcast is marvelous. We've got a lot of really good stuff. We've got more stuff planned. I do a lot of interviews on the channel. I've done a lot of GCW content on the channel. I'm a guest on a lot of podcasts like I am today. Thank you to Patrick for having me. Be sure to follow that. Follow all of Body Sam's social media. For my social media, if you choose to follow me, I tweet about wrestling a lot. I tweet about everything I'm interested in, which is a lot of things, But I also write for a Rays beat, so I tweet about baseball quite a bit. And I'm from Tampa, and it's almost NHL playoff time, so you expect a lot of Nikita Kucherov tweets from me. So you might not want to follow me.
Every Tuesday night, we do NXT post show for Bodyslam.net. Usually, I'm the one in the chair hosting. I'm hoping this one.
Fantastic.
I'm hoping this one can pop in this week if possible.
I might be available for that this week because my new job I start next week. I do 3 days of orientation on first shift, so I don't have to be at work Tuesday night. So
awesome. Other than that, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls beginning this month. We are getting to the 2-year mark of the show. Holy crap! It's been a freaking crazy 2 years. I've got a special thing planned for the thumbnail. I've got somebody very close to the show helping creating one. Other than that, huge week next week. We got the tournament is done, but we still have a champion, and he still has to defend the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls community title that has a Bodyslam.net the person holding that championship belt going against the head of the table himself, Drew Nicholas, right here in a predictions war for that title. And then after that, Money in the Bank, Anakin will be in the Money in the Bank match. It's going to be a 5-way person to crown the #1 contender for SummerSlam. It's always going to be fun, so never know what's going to happen. Check out the socials on all of us, and we'll just have some fun. As I say every day, do a good deed, pay for it. Have a good night, guys. I'm off to make pancakes.
Enjoy.